was a tradition at Blackwood High. Every year, a new group of 11th graders would enter room 13B, and every year, the same horrors would unfold. The room, located at the farthest end of the school's west wing, had an unsettling aura. The air inside was always heavy, thick with an inexplicable chill, no matter how hot the summer burned outside. Shadows stretched longer than they should, and the fluorescent lights flickered with an unnatural rhythm. At first, the changes in the students seemed minor, a slight discomfort, an uneasiness that gnawed at the edges of their thoughts. But as days passed, the symptoms grew worse. Headaches plagued nearly every student who sat in that room. Their vision would blur, and some would even momentarily lose their sense of reality. Then came the whispers, soft, unintelligible murmurs that seemed to rise from the very walls, creeping into their ears like a sinister lullaby. The teachers assigned to room 13B never lasted long. Even the most patient and loving among them became irritable, prone to sudden bursts of anger. Mrs. Thompson, a favorite among students for her warmth and kindness, had been teaching history in that room for only 2 weeks when her demeanor began to shift. She started snapping at students for the smallest infractions. Her hands trembled as she wrote on the board, and her eyes constantly darted to the back corner of the room as if watching something unseen. One day, during a lecture on the American Revolution, she froze mid-sentence. Her breathing turned ragged, and her eyes widened in horror as she stared at the chalkboard's reflection. "She's behind me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Then, with a blood-curdling scream, she dropped her chalk and stumbled back, crashing into a desk. The entire class turned, but there was nothing there. Yet every student in the room felt it, that undeniable presence watching them. Mrs. Thompson resigned the next day, refusing to speak about what she had seen. The sightings increased. Students began to complain of a figure, a girl, always glimpsed through their blurred vision. She had long, tangled black hair that covered most of her face except for one eye, a single, unblinking, bloodshot eye filled with malice. Whenever someone saw her, they would feel a wave of nausea, their limbs turning ice cold. Some students, caught in the throes of a headache, would begin to murmur in an unknown language, their voices taking on an eerie, hollow tone. Mark, a skeptical student who dismissed the rumors, decided to stay late one evening to prove there was nothing supernatural about room 13B. His friends dared him to sit alone in the dark for 5 minutes. Armed with a flashlight, he took a seat at the back, near the corner where most of the disturbances were reported. The room was silent at first, save for the distant echo of janitors working down the hall. But then, the temperature dropped. A faint whisper tickled his ears. It wasn't the sound of the wind or the building settling. It was deliberate, guttural. The whispering intensified, growing into an overlapping chorus of sinister voices. Mark's heart pounded as he turned his flashlight toward the chalkboard. The beam flickered, and for a split second, he saw her, the girl. Her hair swayed as if caught in an unseen current. Her single eye locked onto his, wide and hungry. Then she grinned. The flashlight died. The room was swallowed in darkness, and Mark's screams echoed through the halls. The janitors found him an hour later, curled in the fetal position beneath a desk, whispering in that strange, ancient tongue. He never returned to school. The school administration tried to suppress the stories. They blamed stress, overactive imaginations, even hysteria. But the incidents kept happening. Strange symbols began appearing on the desks, etchings that seemed to glow faintly under the dim light. The whispers never ceased, always lurking just below the threshold of hearing. The final incident occurred during a parent-teacher meeting. A group of concerned parents gathered in room 13B, demanding answers from the principal. As he stood before them, assuring them that there was no danger, the lights flickered. The air turned frigid, and each breath they exhaled formed misty clouds. The whispers returned, louder this time, almost a chant. Then she appeared. Not a fleeting shadow, not a blur in the corner of their eyes. She was there, standing at the back of the room, her matted hair writhing as if possessed, her single eye blazing with fury. The walls trembled, the windows shattered, the overhead projector sparked and caught fire. The parents fled in terror. The next day, the principal declared room 13B permanently closed. Heavy chains were wrapped around the door, and thick wooden planks were nailed across it. The hallway leading to the room was blocked off, and all records of its use were removed from the school's official documents. To this day, students who pass by that hallway swear they still hear the whispers. Some claim to see a faint red glow seeping through the cracks of the boarded-up door. Others say if you place your ear against the wood, you can hear a voice, soft, almost inviting, murmuring in a language not meant for the living. And if you dare stand there too long, you might just feel a cold breath against your neck.